Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bruce Konechny. Welcome to my podcast for Sunday. It's One Man's Voice. Today is April 28th. And I just got finished listening to Joe Biden's fabricated speech about running for the presidency of the United States. And one of the things he brings up is the preamble. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That goes against the Democrats. Okay? Please understand that. And how does that go against the Democrats? Well, because you have Governor Cuomo in New York and the governor for Virginia both wrote a law and got the law passed where children who were able to survive an abortion were allowed to be killed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator to life. That goes against what the Democrats have chosen. Joe, you have to ask yourself the core values of what nation are you talking about? You see, because back in 1963, when one individual, and he wasn't a Christian, he wasn't a Jew, okay, said, I don't like prayer in school, and went up and had prayer taken out of school. One individual voiced it changed the core value of this country. 97%, they say, I'll go 90%, of this nation was church-going people who respected one another, who were able to communicate with one another. And except for the South and the problems with racism in the South, the majority of the country got along quite well. What core values are you talking about, Joe? Let me see. Let's not build a wall and allow sex trafficking to come into this country. Is that part of your core values? And how about rape of young men and women coming across the border? Is that part of your core values, Joe? And how about the drugs that are killing our citizens? Do you want that part of your core values? Under the Obama administration, after Obama went around the world and apologized to everybody because we are good, after he supported and defended Islam over Christianity, when he allowed Christians to be beheaded while allowing 90% of the immigrants coming into this country to be Muslims, what's your core values, Joe? And our standing in the world? What is it? What is our standing in the world? We apologize? Under you and President Obama, we had the high unemployment rate. We had, yes, job growth at 1.52%, but it was minimum wage jobs. Is that your core values, Joe? And our standing in the world, our apology for being Americans, is that your core value, Joe? Yes, our very democracy is at stake. It really is. And one of the things you said in your speech, Joe, is that the KKK, the Antafa, and some other, the white supremacists all got together. Do you think they're voting for Republicans? They're not. We know that the KKK was the party of the Democrats. We know that they still support the KKK. And Antifa is definitely not for Republicans, because every time the Republicans get together, Antifa is there to attack. Is that your core value for this nation? Our standing in the world shows that we're just like everybody else. We allow violence, ignorance, and stupidity to take control and ruin a nation. Is that your core values, Joe? Everything that has made America America has been under attack since 1945. Our religious, moral, and ethical beliefs that made this country strong has been attacked by who? Oh, Democrats. We know that when Nancy Pelosi says she doesn't want to hear the Patriot Prayer Group in one of her San Francisco parks, speak vile speech. Prayer is vile speech, Joe? Our democracy is at war. Our democracy is in danger. Our standing in the world has never been better because we have a president who's not sitting there apologizing for America, but saying we are great again and you have to start paying your fair share. That's not the core value you want, Joe? And we have more people back in the workforce. We have thousands of jobs that can't be filled because we don't have the qualified workforce. Is that your core value, Joe? Or are you against that? Or would you prefer uneducated and low-educated individuals swarming in over the border and trying to get a hold of jobs that they don't have the education for, but they're going to take our welfare, they're going to take our food stamps, they're going to take housing, they're going to take free medical, they're going to take free education, and they're going to bankrupt this country? Is that your core value, Joe? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is for Americans. If you study your history, Joe, we took that around the world, and people said we can't live by this because they did not have God in their thoughts, their prayers, and their messages. So what happens? They rejected our Constitution. And with allowing these people who reject our Constitution to come in here, then we are changing the face of America. Who's doing that, Joe? It's not the Republicans. They want to build a wall. It's not the Republicans. They want to have immigration reform to keep people out unless they qualify to come here. I used to show the analogy between the New York Yankees and America. The New York Yankees go around the world. They look for quality and they look for talent. And when they find it, they bring it here to be on the team. America is the same way. We go around the world. We want quality and we want talent to come in here and bring us into tomorrow. A bunch of uneducated and low-educated people will not bring us into tomorrow, Joe, but it will bring us back to yesterday, where we have a bunch of uneducated people who are nothing more than slaves. And who wants that, Joe? Not the Republicans. They want to close down the border. It's the Democrats. Is democracy under attack? I don't know. You have Bernie Sanders, who is a socialist, who wants to give away free college, give away free medical. He wants the Green New Deal with AOC. Let's have the Green New Deal. Let's spend trillions upon trillions of dollars that we don't have with a $21 trillion debt and say, come on, let's spend more, spend more, spend more. Is that the core values of this nation? And hear about this, Joe. You have people in this country who are starving. You have people without housing. You have people that just, they don't have the clothes to wear on their back. They're called American citizens. And yet, screw them. Let's bring in more from South America. Let's bring terrorists in. And here's another core value, Joe. Your Bernie Sanders, another one of you Democrats, is sitting there saying that felons have a right to vote. Well, hold on a minute. If they kill somebody, Joe, they took the right of somebody away. They took the right to live away from somebody. You think they have a right to vote? And what about child molesters who ruined children's lives, ruined young adults? Should we allow these people to vote? Say, look what I did. I screwed that person up, but I still get a chance to vote for the President of the United States. I don't think so. Murderers, rapists, terrorists, they have a right to vote in our country? No. Voting is a right for those citizens who live by the law. And when you go to prison, guess what happens, Joe? And you can tell this to Bernie. Our rights are taken away from us because we violated the laws that we agreed to live by. Oh, but you see, That's Democrats, Joe. Democrats say rule of law, rule of law, rule of law. The rule of law says a convicted felon cannot vote. Oh, well, let's change the rule of law. The rule of law says you have to be 18. Bernie Sanders, let's change that, make it 14. The rule of law means nothing to you unless it supports what you want to do. The rule of law says that you cannot come here to this country illegally. Oh, wait a minute, but once they step on our side of the border, they're U.S. citizens and they have to be treated that. No, kick them back across the border. Yes, America is at stake. And it's at stake because the Democrats are doing everything and anything they can. What have they done for the American people in the last 2.5 years? Joe, come on. Let's see. Did they vote for the tax cuts? Not one voted for the tax cuts. Did they try to come up with comprehensive immigration reform? No, they haven't for the last 12 years, 10 years. 8 under Obama and 2 under Trump. They don't want immigration reform because if we have immigration reform, we stop immigrants from coming to this country. Illegal, by the way. Not the legal, but the illegal immigrants coming to this country. And that deteriorates their voting base, Joe. You know that. Democrats want to change the face of America. The Democrats want illegals coming into this country. They want to destroy the economic growth that we've been able to obtain after the dismal 8 years of you and your President Obama. Yes, the Democrats are destroying America. We see this when Hillary Clinton and Obama and their cronies sold 20% of the uranium that we have to Russia. The reset button saying, we're going to reset our relationship with you to give you more strength and power. That's Democrats. That's not Republicans. And what about the FISA report that Hillary Clinton paid for that started the attacks on our president, the coup to try to destroy our presidency started by the Democrats, Joe? Is that your core values? You want to go back to slavery? Allow the illegals to continue to come in. AOC's out there talking Green New Deal, which is going to cost trillions of dollars, which is the biggest joke in America today. And why do I say that? Because she wants to change the way we live in 8 years because we're going to die in 12. So she wants to do it in 10, excuse me. Spend trillions of dollars. And hear that clown out there in New York City? He's going along with the Green New Deal. All right? I mean, it's absolutely pathetic what these socialists are trying to do to America. Do we need change? Yes, we do. But we don't need change that causes violence. We don't need change that stops the freedom of speech of people that are out there wanting to make America better than what it has been. And Joe, I agree on the other side. The core values of the nation are important. If we're going to sit there and say we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, then these Christians and Catholics who put down homosexuality need to change. And they need to change because of 3 things. God loves each and every one of us, according to Jesus. Love the sinner, not the sin. Judge not, lest ye be judged. See, Joe, those are core values that this nation has to live by. And we should be allowed to speak our mind. So guess what? Yes, very fine people are on both sides of an issue. Very fine people are on both sides of the riot that occurred in Charlottesville because they have a right to speak their own mind. But it is not everyone who got involved in the violence. Those people need to be taken out. And we need to look and see who started it. You have anti-supremacy people. Most of them are Republicans because they don't believe in white supremacy. But if they do, they're Democrats. Because it's a confusing issue, and I know that, Joe. But we need to sit there and tell these people enough is enough. You no longer have that right. Is that true? We no longer have a right to speak our minds? Well, go out to California. Gee, who do you have in California that are socialists that are trying to change the face of America and change it to socialism? Oh, Nancy Pelosi, maybe that's one. Adam Schiff, maybe that's another one. These guys are trying to change the face of America. And who else is out there? Huh? Nadler, who wants to change America to socialism, who has done nothing but attack the President of the United States? Joe, we have laws in this country. And you Democrats say rule of law. We have to obey the rule of law. The rule of law says this, Joe. It says that you have to have probable cause to believe a crime has occurred before you can investigate it. Is there any crime? No. There's no crime against the President of the United States, but yet they want his last 10 years of tax returns. Why? Because they want to find something. That's socialism. That's not democracy. That's not the core value of this country. That's the core value of Nadler and the Democratic Socialists in our country. Is that what you want, Joe? Do you want that? I don't know, Joe, what your core values are. Mine are totally different, okay? Mine are we love one another. We live in peace and harmony. And yes, we each have a voice, whether you like it or not. We have a voice. And we should be able to express ourselves without what? Violence. Without what? Hate. Without what? Discrimination. We should be able to do that. But socialists believe they can say whatever it is they want, and you, on the other side of socialism, have to shut up. Is that the core values of the nation, Joe? Is that what you want? America is at stake. Our democracy is at stake. Our way of life is at stake. And why? Because there are those around the world who have infiltrated our government, our schools, and our media to destroy the democracy that we have. Everybody has a right to vote. This is true. But the popular vote is not what determines who the president is. It's the Electoral College. Why? Because plain and simple, people, if you have 64 million people in California, New York, Boston, Maine, and New Hampshire, and the rest of the country votes for Republican, and there's 63, who wins if the popular vote? Not the country. California, New York, Boston, or Massachusetts, New Hampshire. The Electoral College gives a voice to each state. Joe, that's a core value that's been with us since the beginning of this country. And your people want to change that. Your people believe that children at the age of 12 and 13, it's okay for them to have sex. And it's okay for young children to have abortions. It's okay for us to destroy our nation from within. That's the core values of the Democrats. I'd like to know what your core values are, Joe, because that's not what the Democratic Party is about today. The core values of the Democratic Party are to change this country to a socialist nation and to be ruled by the United Nations in 2030. Is that your core values, Joe? If it is, you need to step off of the stage. For all of those of you who are listening to this, understand something. President Trump is trying to keep America, America. Trying to keep our standing in the world as strong as he's made it. Trying to say America is not at stake anymore, but the America that we knew before Obama is back, and it's the leadership. Actually, let's go back to even before Clinton. We are the leaders of the world. We are the police of the world. Even though I don't like that term, We are the police of the world. If you're going to support anything, do not support Joe Biden and his core values or the core values of the Democratic Party. You want our standing in the world to be great, continue to support Donald Trump. If you want our democracy to be strong, support Donald Trump. You want everything that has made America great to continue, support Donald Trump. And if you want America to not be at stake, to lose our sovereignty, then you need to contact Donald Trump. You need to contact your representatives and say you need to start prosecuting those Democrats that tried to overthrow our president with lies and deceit. You need to bring people up on charges who sat on the newsstands or news shows and demeaned our president all out of anger and hate. That's all hate speech, and they should be held responsible for it. Joe, what are your core values? Because the core values of this nation have radically changed because of the Democratic Party. This is Bruce Konechny. Thank you for listening to my Sunday show. Have a great day and peace.